Hey, Coach. Quick one for you. Just about Tiffany Mitchell early. I know she goes two fouls early and then didn't play much in the first half. It looked like in the second half she came out with maybe some new tape on her wrist? Was it an injury thing or just you like
I didn't.
Rachel?
Yeah, I didn't notice anything injury related.
Okay.
So not that I know of. Obviously, we know that both Tiff and Rachel had injuries that are still healing, but I don't know that there was anything. It wasn't the reason why.
Okay.
We were doing what we were doing on the court.
Diamond, if I have this correct, tied her career high in points and three-pointers made tonight. I know it came in, unfortunately, in a losing effort, but almost like a homecoming of sorts for her.
Yeah.
What did you like about Diamond's game tonight?
Happy for, like you said, a bit of a homecoming, and I thought her obviously making shots, was needed. Takes a little bit of pressure off of McBride and Collier to have to make everything that they take. So that was nice to get a little more balance. Diamond's a work in progress. Each game's, there's a lot of learning going on. Certainly wasn't a complete game for her. Everyone looks at scoring. There's a lot more to it that helps a team win that she's still figuring out.
Just two more for me. First, just your thoughts on shot selection.
Our shot selection. I thought overall, I don't know that was our main issue. I think making shots, some of the really untimely turnovers, where maybe we built some momentum and then we just gave right back to them. Uncharacteristic for McBride, to be the one. I don't think shot selection was so much our issue. I thought we got to a really good place once we survived that start, which I fully expected it to be rough early. We were fortunate that we, hung in there and kind of got back into it. And I just think our overall attention to detail, I think the team would tell you, whether it was our execution of our play calling and being determined against a good physical defense to have counters to what we do. A little bit of that. I think just overall attention to detail in their personnel, we were poor. We were really poor. And we were constantly in rotation, much like we talked about before the game. Knowing who their penetrators are, and we were, get beat back door, low defender comes, and they just start spraying it around. And they're too good, to leave people open every possession. So I think if we could have, maybe been a little bit better in our attention to detail and our defending them, then maybe we get to play in transition a little bit more. Because when we played in transition, I thought we were, any team's going to get their best stuff.
Then last thing, speaking of rotations, Coach, it looked like from the perimeter defensive side of things, when Washington would swing that ball across the court, the X out was either a little bit slow to rotate a little bit, or even on that extra pass that Washington was made to give them a few extra looks. It looked like the 3-point difference really sort of created some difference. I'm just curious what your thoughts were on some of the perimeter defense.
Yeah, it depends on what the scenario was. I mean, we were loaded, on some penetration. We were loaded on, where was Deladon type thing. So I had to kind of look at, what situations, because there were probably a variety of reasons for it. But in general, just multiple efforts, timely efforts, that was lacking for us. You're welcome.
From just an overall picture, so it seemed to be a quite rhapsodic game today. Are there any positive takeaways from such games as it was today?
Yeah, there's always positives, because if you approach it the right way, you're learning about yourselves. When you're in these situations again, you hope that the knowledge that you gain from these difficult games on the road at this point in the season, we're a team, that's obviously evolved. And now, there's new challenges for us, as teams sort of turn up their desperation, et cetera. So I think there's always an opportunity to, have some things that you take away. But overall, we make a few more shots, and it's would be helpful. They made shots, they made timely shots. We had open shots from key players that we didn't go in the hole. I don't ever learn from that other than it's confirming that, that as they say, it's a make or miss league. And we were too many misses.
Going to the Zoom, starting with Terry, then moving to Ken.
Terry.
It felt like in the fourth quarter, defensively, you guys found a little bit more continuity and took Washington out of their comfort zone a little bit. I think they only had one shot from the field in the last 5.5 minutes. Just what did you see out of those defensive possessions? I mean, it was too little too late, but just that allowed the team to play some better defense there down the stretch.
I thought we were more locked in into the personnel tendencies that we did not get done for much of the game. Fourth quarter there, thought we contained penetration a little bit better. Pick and roll defense was actually pretty solid tonight for us. When we stayed in plays, when we guarded our player one-on-one, when we didn't overhelp, when we didn't get beat backdoor, on cuts, we were pretty darn solid. And something we didn't do in the first half, fourth quarter, I thought we just a little more concerted effort in rebounding. There were too many rebounds for this team in the first half. So I think those go hand in hand, and then you could play off of misses. And that was the quarter that we just would have liked to scored a few more.
That's it for me. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Coach, I mean, when you look at the box score, I mean, you might have given them some penetration, but they did not score in the paint very much.
They don't score in the paint. They're one of the lowest in the league.
And you kept them off the break for the most part.
Yeah.
So I mean, so there were some good things. It was like you said, just a couple of too many open 3-pointers for them, because that seemed to be the difference in this one.
Yeah, they're not a fast break team. It's not a fast break scored team. They're not a second chance scored team, which they did in the first half. They're not a score in the paint team. They're actually pretty darn good mid range, and that's where Sykes got us in ball screens. We didn't effectively, a little bit like at our place, if you remember. We just didn't assert the necessary aggression at the point of the screen to make life a little more difficult. That they were very, very comfortable. Sykes in particular in her pull-ups. So the areas that you're mentioning, it's really more their identity as opposed to, I think, anything that we did.
If you just was Jessica a lingering deal, or is that something that kind of cropped up today?
No, it didn't come up today. I'm told that it's something that she's sort of had been experiencing that got a little worse for today. So, she warmed up and tried to give it a go, but it was just one of those things. It was best that she was a scratch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mitchell?
Cheryl, obviously last time you guys faced this team, they were without Deladon, Austin, and Atkins. What, with them being back, what does that present, when defending a team like this and being able, them being able to kind of hurt you in multiple ways?
What does adding Deladon and Atkins?
Yeah, as far as the balance that presents when you're trying to defend a team like that has so many, different options offensively with having them back.
I mean, just logically speaking, when you have Deladon out there and she gets attention, then you're like I said, loaded and bringing more than just one player oftentimes. And while I think we did a solid job on her, but 5 of 6 in just 22 minutes. Thankfully she's on a minute restriction. But I think certainly them getting healthy and having their best players, it poses exactly the problems that you would think, which is really good players that you have to, if you play one-on-one, there's challenges. If you bring help, there's challenges. And, they're obviously healthy at the right time. Their defense is what's allowed them to be successful, with the return of those players. It's sort of, if you look at the beginning of the season, who people thought that they would be. That starting 5 defensively is really, really good. And, it's not so much, there's no shame in coming to Washington and having a hard night. I just want us to grow from, these hard games and the tough moments that we, it comes down to maybe they just made more plays than we did, as opposed to us either not executing on offense or just defensively not being locked into personnel. And it happened multiple times at multiple positions. So well, you take your experiences and move on, try to be better next game.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, coach.